Frieza is coming back to Dragon Ball Super. And out of all of these, we asked you guys on Twitter who you found the most interesting, and we got a lot to talk about. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into this video. So, Mr. Moscow X, you are my guest on this channel once again. It's fun to have you. And looking at the results, King Cole came in last. Kind of seemed like he was like the retired emperor that was kind of just letting his son do his own thing while he was just there in the background, just observing as like an old wise man.
He is the Emperor Palpatine to Frieza's Vader. King Cold wasn't the really guy who was the person who took over the world. It was Frieza that did it. So you just think, well, King Cold's not really much of a galactic ruler, so people's interest in the character is a lot lower than you might think. At least that's how I see it.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Me personally with King Cole, I mean, the only real differences I would say about his personality is that, you know, he definitely is more sneaky and less brash than his son, because he was willing to try and deceive Trunks into taking his sword because he obviously knew that he would have been outclassed, and then he tried to turn it around him, whereas Frieza was just immediately just going straight after Trunks from the beginning. So I definitely do think it would be interesting if Dragon Ball ever had like a special or a little one episode talking more about King Cole, because his character definitely should have a lot of backstory considering he's much older and he's definitely been in the universe for quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, of course, but yeah, I mean, since Toei's currently got a boner for Frieza right now, yeah, it makes sense.
Right. Alright, so let's move on to the next point on this list, and surprisingly, Frost came in at 3rd place. Now, why do you think he was in the lower half of this poll?
I'm actually really surprised about that, because I felt like in the episode that we first met Frost and we saw a bit of his backstory, I remember at the time thinking, well, that's not enough. I want more. At the time, we all thought Frost was a good guy. I mean, of course we were wrong, but at the time we were thinking, oh my god, I'd have loved to see this, you know, con artist's skewed interpretation of himself some more. And we only got like maybe a few minutes, but other than that, it would have been great if we had like at least half an episode dedicated to, you know, Frost's origins, if not an entire episode. I just felt like he's underdeveloped, yeah, at least at the time.
And Masako, in terms of his actual personality, what do you think about his personality in contrast with Frieza's and how he behaves?
I think Frost is even sneakier than Frieza, in the sense of Frost realized that in Universe 6, you gotta be the good guy and then you get all the things that you want, and you could manufacture bad things to happen, make a lot of money, pay off the people to help do it for you, and then you could just keep on doing it and making loads and loads of money. Instead of, forget trying to conquer planets and sell them off. Just, manufacture history and, change the world via your own, wallet.
Right, and I would definitely also have to say one really interesting thing about Frost Masako is that I think when you look at his character, I really love that scene in Dragon Ball Super where you saw like Frost with all of those demonic looking alien children and how like he was perceived as like this celebrity throughout the universe. I think Frost is definitely a very interesting character. I like the fact that he has poison needles, so even though he's not as strong, he has methods of trying to sneak and beat people. But I think the next spot on this list is definitely very iconic in terms of the Dragon Ball movies, and this is Cooler. And Cooler came in 2nd place here. Are you shocked by that?
Not necessarily, because Cooler's been around for a very long time, so there is that he has the nostalgia brush tarred, as well as his brother. And I feel like Cooler's the elder brother that didn't beat about the bush, and actually, attained a form that Frieza never got. Yeah, we got his 5th form, and, until the longest time, there wasn't a better form other than Golden Frieza. And honestly, I feel like I know why Golden Frieza existed, because it was Frieza mocking, Goku and Vegeta with the Super Saiyan transformation. That's what he was doing with it. But I think if that wasn't the case, then we probably would have just seen Frieza attaining the 5th form that his brother had, which probably would have been cooler. But I just feel that Cooler got down to business a lot more, as in he didn't take any chances, and he was just more to the point. And it's a very interesting and very shrewd character.
I think that's really interesting, Masuka, because when you compare this with King Cole, he was the one when Frieza was coming to Earth in his Mecha Frieza form. He was like telling him, let's just blow up the planet before the Saiyan even gets back. And it kind of makes you wonder, like, you know, Cooler should have probably have done the same thing too, but he's definitely much better at getting the job done than Frieza. But when it comes to Metal Cooler, though, specifically, did you enjoy the first Cooler movie more or the second Cooler movie more?
Oh, the first one, no doubt. In fact, the first Cooler movie was the first ever DBZ movie I ever saw. But that was definitely a very enjoyable movie. But the second Cooler movie was just like, okay, how? So basically, Cooler's organs left across the, that weren't tinged by the sun, somehow manufactured themselves and got merged with a microchip to then become part of the big what?
I would definitely say Cooler is an interesting character. I like his design a lot. I like his demeanor, and I also really like his henchmen. I like his whole armored squadron where, like, how they were all fighting against Gohan and Piccolo and everybody, and it's kind of like easy because he has like 3 people instead of like a really corny Ginyu Force. So Cooler's definitely interesting, but ultimately though, Masako, Frieza won this poll. I'm pretty sure we can take a guess why. I mean, he's the most developed version of this list, and although he's come back way more than he probably should have, I mean, you kind of gotta put Frieza first, right?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, because Frieza is the character, the first major space villain in Dragon Ball Z. I mean, of course we had Vegeta and Nappa coming from space, but they came to Earth. But yeah, this was the first time that our heroes had gone to the stars after Raditz opened up a prospect to them right at the beginning of Z. And this was the first time that our heroes had to go toe-to-toe with pretty much the Galactic Emperor. So this is like the big deal. And then as we later learned on in the Bardock special, this was the guy that destroyed Planet Vegeta. I mean, obviously on the behalf of Beerus, but he still did the deed. It just has a lot of significance. And you just think, and the fact is that Frieza, for the most part, wasn't a shouty man. He wasn't a Mr. Shouty man. He was quite polite and twisted, I'd say. But he always gave attention to people, even though he considered people scum. He still gave them the time of day just to then kill them.
I mean, that's often been noted about Frieza, how he's very calm and collected. Personally, when it comes to Frieza coming back for this Tournament of Power, I see pros and cons to it. I think it's interesting that Frieza would be on a team with Piccolo, Vegeta, and Krillin, 3 people he's killed, and that would also make that arc much more interesting. At the same time, though, he has been a very well-marketed villain in the Dragon Ball series. He's been great for merchandise, he's been great for all of his forms, especially his Xenomorph form. Ridley Scott's gonna sue somebody. But at the same time, I think that when it pertains to Frieza, he's definitely the most iconic villain in all of Dragon Ball history. And in terms of character flaws, I think the biggest flaw about him that we could say is that Frieza sometimes, as we've said before, does not finish the job as well as he possibly could. I think Frieza could many times, finish up the job. The whole fight on Namek, if he had gone into his final form from the beginning, nobody would have stood a chance, and that ultimately ended up being his own demise. And the fact that he wanted to extract revenge on Goku and his friends when he came back to Earth again, instead of just blowing it up from outer space. So really, Frieza is a very flawed character, but I think that's why we kind of like him.
Yeah, I'd say it's because he's overly emotional, and I think for the longest time he'd always been in his first form, and I think he just got distracted by the prospect of, oh, I actually have to fight some fools not in my first form. And I think he would actually respect that in a way. I'd say he's too emotive. He is far more emotional than his brother and his father, and he got invested and wished to actually go, oh, well, I'm still going to kill you, but tell you what, I'm going to show you my other forms as well as saying thank you for giving me such entertainment.
Right. And I mean, Masako, I mean, just to, you know, talk about some specific moments here before we close this video out. In terms of moments for the characters, I think Frieza's iconic moment would have to be when he was fighting against all of the Z Fighters before Goku, and how he was just extracting revenge on them and torturing them. There were scenes where he was squeezing Gohan's head with his leg. Then there was one scene where he was like impaling Krillin with his horns, and then there was another scene where he was like just torturing Vegeta, eating the crab in the animation, you know, and all of that stuff to me just really highlighted his character, how sadistic he is, you know?
Oh yeah, because these people had wronged him and made him out to look like a fool, and he was gonna get his revenge, of course. So undoubtedly, these are people that have not done anything that other people have done before. So now he's gonna make sure that, yeah, no, you just got lucky. I'm gonna get you for real this time.
So overall, guys, that's been our breakdown for today of Frieza, all of the Galactic Emperors, with Frieza, his father, Cooler, and Frost. Let us know what you think in the comment section below as to which one of these members you actually like the most, as Frieza's coming back. We got to give you a little bit of a Frieza community response special. And I'd also really like to thank Masako, who's the voice of Goku from Team 4 Star. I'm going to be posting a link to his channel in my description. And thanks for coming on here, Masako.
Well, thank you for having me, mate.
Alrighty. So please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys. And don't forget to enable notifications so you never miss out on any content that I produce. And I thank you so much for all of your support.
Take you later.